Welcome, Sports Nation, to Sports DTM, the sports channel where we call sports down the middle. You can expect the latest in sports news, views, and reviews from our resident analysts. No sports topic is too controversial, and no team or player is above criticism. So just smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on our balanced offering of riveting sports content. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Sports DTM.
Greetings, sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Sports Down the Middle. And today we want to talk about the National Premier League, the Jamaica National Premier League. It's scheduled to start in November 2020. Our resident analyst, Rocky, will just take us through what the latest happenings with that.
All right, thanks, Kurt. The National Premier League is expected to return November 14, 2020, and it will run through to June 30, 2021. This is after a long break. We knew from before earlier on in the year when COVID came that the league was cancelled pretty much, and the administrator through the JFF and the Premier League clubs are trying to restart the league come November 14. So there are some major changes that are expected to come in place. The league is expected to move from 3 rounds of matches to 2 rounds, plus the playoff. The league, there's expected to be no demotions for 2020 to 21 and 2021 to 22 seasons. 2 clubs will be promoted from the corresponding season of the JFF playoffs or second tier. And of course, the league will move from to 14 and 16 in the respective seasons. Obviously, the JFF, recognizing that the clubs will require heavy financing, will allocate US $250,000 of the COVID relief funds from FIFA towards the funding of clubs. Specifically, each club of the 12 clubs will receive $1.2 million to help to cover some of the costs. And the JFF has announced that up to 600 personnel, including players, team administrators, coaches, will be tested. All of this is subject to the Ministry of Health passing the league to actually take place. And obviously, the matches will be held at secure venues over maybe 2 or 3 specific venues. There are some concerns in terms of getting spectators on board. There's also some challenges in terms of the sponsor. The previous sponsor, Red Stripe, is no longer the title sponsor. That arrangement ended. And so the league is actually looking for a new title sponsor. So right now, it's just labeled as the National Premier League. So that's a big challenge. So there are no spectators, no sponsors. So the question is really going to be, how will the league be financed? We already know that it's not a full-fledged professional league, but the players pretty much get a stipend, and also some of them pretty much work part-time. So that has been a challenge, but we hope to see it coming through. They don't have a biosecure environment to run things, so there's a real risk in terms of persons being exposed to COVID. But I think it's welcome news to hear that the National Premier League is expected to restart come November 14th.
Thank you very much for that update, Rocky. The other analysts, some of the takeaway from that is there will be no bubble, which means players will play matches and go back home. And the expectation is that players will have to follow the COVID protocols. And I don't know how well we'll be able to manage that, considering that, as you mentioned, some of the players are part-time, they work elsewhere and then play football. So, Eddie, you think this approach can work? We want to see the national or the local players playing football.
Well, it all sounds good on paper, but in terms of the practicality of this, we'll just have to wait and see. It doesn't look likely. Without saying it, sponsors coming on board, so that's a major plus or negative. Those any sponsors coming on board. The whole aspect of the bubble, there isn't any bubble. As it relates to testing, they made mention of testing in the initial phase. But how do we know if there will be continuous testing throughout
Yeah.
the matches? And that's very important, and it's very expensive to get those tests done. So we need more information as it relates to testing and sponsorship.
I mean, Ray, why aren't corporate Jamaica willing to sponsor the Premier League?
Well, I'm not so sure why. I think that it. I mean, Red Stripe was one person who actually, we would love them to come back on board, but I'm not so certain why. It's almost as if, I mean, corporate Jamaica have a love-hate relationship with Jamaican football, and especially around our national Premier League. I mean, if it was probably like a World Cup qualifying scenario, you might have most persons jumping on board and see how best they can facilitate that. But National Premier League, it is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing, persons to have your brand associated with the product. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, and it's not for the faint of heart from a sponsoring standpoint.
But in concluding this discussion on the National Premier League, you think we have a product that can materialize into something bigger? I mean, at one point we were there. Remember back in the 2000s, the league was a big deal. So you think we can get back there?
I mean, we can get back there now, but for us to get back there, we first have to get the national program really going in full throttle. People, you build from a national program, you get your financing from there, you pump back in your league, they get to buy, players get to be sold, the teams get to get money to reinvest in the infrastructure of the clubs, and from that you kind of get some more excitement. So we can get there, but it will require significant investment, and also it will require our national team doing pretty well, probably going back to the World Cup, so you can kind of build some more excitement around football in the country.
Ray, who is your favorite, or which team is your favorite team in the National Premier League?
Oh boy, I had so many. So I don't mind seeing Cavaliers play, Alice Marshall and so forth. I don't mind seeing them play, as well as I had Waterhouse, and from ever since Stuffy Anderson time, I had Waterhouse.
Aberview was one of my very good teams to watch. I have taken a pretty good look at a few others, but Aberview was pretty good. Haven't really followed much of them in recent time, but yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot to choose from.
This has been another episode of Sports Down the Middle. Sports fans, like, follow, subscribe. I mean, pick a national team and support it. Harbourview, Tivoli, Portmore. Just select one, support the local program.